Me again. Just showing you how I make my sea salt, my seaweed fertilizer, homemade. It's so expensive to buy in the shop.
Yes.
And I reckon mine is just as good. So, what I did, I just went to the beach. I harvested the seaweed. What I do, I try to get a few different types of seaweed. I've got some kelp, some finer stuff.
This one. I already got this one, guys.
Some of this,
Some here.
whatever you could find.
Here.
But I mix it up a bit and give it a good rinse.
Yes. So
I just like to rinse most of the sand off and
kind of sand off.
get a lot of the sand off and the residual salt.
Gotta wash it up. Gotta wash that bucket up.
It's alright if you leave a little bit on there. Right.
Yeah, seaweed.
This is my clean bucket that I bring in the car.
We had the mixture before.
And all I do is put it in my fermenting bucket, I call it.
Wait for 100 years and then I have to make it nice.
Put it all in my fermenting bucket. Let's get me brick. Right. So I've got my brick ready. This is how I make it. I just I've got a coffee cup of sugar. That will help feed the yeast till the sugars and minerals come out of the seaweed. And here I've just finished a brew of some beer. Look at my other video on brewing beer. So I've got yeast, the leftover on the bottom of the beer. That yeast is all live. All the microorganisms. Mate, this yeast is going to love that. It's going to love living in there. I've got some more on the bottom there. I'll get it all out. A little bit more in there. Then just top it up. Put my brick on top to weigh it all down, and that can sit there for 2-3 months. And I tell you, I used to do it without the yeast, and it really does smell, but works just as good, I reckon, with no yeast. But adding the yeast, there's no smell at all. I just top it at the top. Now, after 2 months, I'll take 3/4 of that liquid and bottle it up. I just pass it through a strainer. I've got a funnel with a bit of insect cloth. I pass it through the funnel, and that's what I just made just before. All those bottles.
Do you get the mixture to wash this up?
I just keep all the old milk bottles and plastic containers, and you take 3/4 off it in 2 months, add water, leave it another month or 2, and you could do it again. Then you could remove all the seaweed and take all the liquid, and then you have to start again. So you get 2 batches of 1 batch of seaweed. So yeah, 2 months, I'll take the liquid off, leave a little bit of liquid left, fill it back with water, let it ferment again for 2 more months, and then yeah, yeah, all the seaweed would be finished, and I just put the seaweed back onto the garden, or run over it for the lawnmower and throw it in the compost heap. That's how you make seaweed fertilizer. That will just sit there, out of the weather. You know, if you wanted to, you could just chuck a cover over it in the weather. But just under there, it loves it. Under the sink, it's out of the rain, and that will decompose down. A little bit of an update on the seaweed fertilizer. As you can see, have a look at the bubbles. The yeast eating the seaweed. Have a look at that. That's going to be a good brew. Loving it. Pulled some carrots up today. Garden's looking good. Anyway, that's 2 days later, and that's what the seaweed fertilizer looks like.